What if one rainy night changed your life forever? Emma Brooks had lost everything: her job, her home, and the man who once promised to love her, all while carrying a child she would raise alone. Standing in the cold, drenched and heartbroken, she never imagined that a stranger's simple act of kindness would become the start of a journey filled with secrets, second chances, and a kind of love she thought no longer existed. But not everything is as it seems. When a ghost from her past reappears, Emma must make the most difficult decision of her life: trust the man who abandoned her or open her heart to the man who had quietly saved it. Stay with us, because what happens next will leave you breathless and remind you that sometimes the best beginnings are born from broken pieces. The rain hammered the streets of downtown Brookside like a furious drumbeat, washing the city in a blur of gray. On the soaked curb outside Sterling Towers, Emma Brooks sat trembling, one hand clutching her swollen belly, the other gripping a wrinkled piece of paper, her termination notice, 7 months pregnant. No job, no home. The world blurred behind her tears as luxury cars splashed muddy water at her feet. Not one passerby stopped. Not one even glanced her way. "What now?" she whispered to herself, stroking her belly, as if her unborn child could answer. The betrayal stung deeper than the cold rain. She had been fired, unjustly accused of theft by the niece of her boss, and no one had cared to hear her side. And Jason Miller, the man who had promised her the world, had vanished the moment he heard the word pregnant, leaving behind nothing but a note. "I'm not ready for this." 7 words that shattered her life. A bolt of lightning split the sky, and instinctively Emma curled around her baby bump, shielding the only thing she had left in the world. It was then she heard it, a voice low and steady, cutting through the chaos. "Are you all right?" She looked up and blinked against the rain. A man stood before her, holding a large black umbrella over her. His navy suit was immaculate despite the weather, his brown hair perfectly styled, and his sharp blue eyes softened with genuine concern. For a moment Emma thought she might be hallucinating. I'm fine," she stammered, but her voice cracked with cold and fear. The man knelt, ruining his tailored pants without hesitation. "My name's Nathan Carter," he said, gesturing toward the towering Sterling Towers behind them. "I live and work here. You shouldn't be out here in your condition." Emma tried to stand, embarrassed, but dizziness overwhelmed her. Nathan steadied her effortlessly, his grip firm but careful. "Do you have anywhere to go?" he asked, his voice gentle. Emma bit her lip, ashamed. "No," she whispered. Nathan hesitated long enough for Emma to see the conflict flash in his stormy eyes. Finally, he made a decision. "I have a guest room in my apartment upstairs. You're welcome to stay just for tonight until the storm passes." Emma stiffened. She didn't trust easily anymore. Not after Miguel. Not after being betrayed again and again. "I don't know you," she said cautiously. Nathan nodded, not offended. "I understand. If you prefer, you can wait inside the lobby. It's warm. Safe." Another crack of thunder rattled the windows above, and Emma's maternal instincts screamed louder than her fear. "All right," she said finally, her voice trembling. "Just for tonight." Nathan offered his hand. Emma hesitated, then placed hers in his. As he guided her through the glistening doors of Sterling Towers, neither of them realized it yet, but tonight was the beginning of a story that would change both of their lives forever. The lobby was a world apart from the rain-soaked streets, warm, golden safe. Nathan led her to a quiet corner with a plush sofa, then disappeared for a moment, returning with a steaming cup of cocoa. Emma cradled it with both hands, savoring the warmth. They didn't speak much. Nathan gave her space, sitting across from her, his posture relaxed but alert, as if he understood exactly how fragile she felt. When she dozed off, exhausted, Nathan quietly approached the front desk, arranging for extra blankets, a security watch near her for safety, and a call to his personal physician to stand by if needed. He watched her sleeping form for a moment, this woman who had nothing but her unborn child, and felt a strange pull deep inside. A pull he hadn't felt in years, not since losing everything he once loved. The next morning, Emma woke up to the soft scent of fresh coffee and the hum of quiet conversation. She blinked momentarily, disoriented, until memories of the night before came rushing back. Nathan Carter, Sterling Towers, the rain, the kindness of a stranger. She sat up, embarrassed to realize she was still wearing her soaked clothes. Before she could even gather her thoughts, Nathan appeared dressed sharply again, carrying a breakfast tray. "Good morning," he said, setting it down on the side table. "I thought you might be hungry." Emma blushed, unsure of what to say. "You didn't have to," she whispered. Nathan smiled faintly. "I wanted to." A heavy silence fell between them, one thick with unspoken questions. Finally, Nathan broke it. "Emma, what happened last night? Why were you out there alone?" Emma looked down at her hands, at the rough skin, the bitten nails, and then slowly, haltingly, she told him about the job, the false accusations, the lost home. The man who left Nathan listened without interrupting, his expression unreadable, but his eyes burned with something fierce. When she finished, she dared to glance at him. He didn't pity her. He didn't judge her. He simply said, "You don't deserve this." Emma's throat tightened. "I have a small guest room upstairs." Nathan continued, "You can stay just until you figure things out." Emma stared at him, stunned. "Why?" she asked, voice hoarse. For the first time, Nathan hesitated. When he finally answered, his voice was quiet. "Because sometimes the right thing to do isn't about logic, it's about heart." Emma Brooks stared out across the glittering skyline of Brookside from the wide glass windows of Nathan Carter's penthouse. The world looked so different from up here, orderly, glowing, almost magical. But inside her chest, chaos still raged. She shouldn't be here. She shouldn't be accepting help from a stranger, no matter how kind his blue eyes seemed. Yet every time she tried to convince herself to leave, reality pulled her back. No home, no job, no safety for her unborn child. And Nathan Carter, he hadn't asked for anything in return. Not once. Over the next few days, a fragile routine formed. Nathan was courteous but distant. He would leave early for work and return late, always carrying the weight of a silent burden on his shoulders. He never pried into her past, never crossed a line. Instead, he gave her space and a dignity she hadn't realized she was starving for. And yet there was something almost heartbreaking about him. At night, when he thought she was asleep, Emma sometimes heard him pacing the living room. Other nights, she glimpsed him standing at the window, staring into the city lights, like a man searching for something he'd lost long ago. One evening, Nathan returned earlier than usual. Emma was in the kitchen preparing a simple meal, something her grandmother had taught her long ago when the world was still soft and full of dreams. "Smells amazing," Nathan said as he loosened his tie. Surprising her, Emma smiled shyly. "Just an old family recipe, chicken pot pie." Nathan chuckled, the sound rich and unfamiliar in the usually somber penthouse. As they sat down to eat, the silence between them wasn't heavy this time. It felt comfortable. "Where are you from, Emma?" Nathan asked, genuine curiosity in his voice. She hesitated. "I grew up in a small town outside Maplewood, came to the city 5 years ago, chasing a better life." Nathan's gaze softened. "And did you find it?" Emma looked down at her plate, her fingers fidgeting with the fork. "I thought I had," she said quietly, "until everything fell apart." Nathan nodded, as if understanding more than she said aloud. "I know something about losing what matters," he admitted, his voice low. Emma looked up, meeting his eyes, and in that unguarded moment, she saw it, the raw, unhealed wound beneath his polished exterior. She wanted to ask, to reach out, but something told her Nathan wasn't ready to let those ghosts out yet, and perhaps neither was she. Later that night, a knock at the door shattered their fragile peace. Emma, sitting curled up on the couch with a book, startled. Nathan's entire body stiffened. "Stay here," he said sharply. Moving toward the door with measured, almost military precision, Emma watched from the corner as he opened it. A woman in a designer coat and high heels swept into the room like a storm. Her perfectly coiffed hair and sharp eyes surveyed the penthouse with disdain. "Nathan," she said crisply, "we need to talk." "I'm busy, Lauren," Nathan replied coldly. "This isn't a good time." Lauren Carter, his older sister Emma, guessed from the resemblance, ignored him. Her gaze landed on Emma, her perfectly shaped brows lifting in surprise and judgment. "And who is this?" Nathan stepped in front of Emma protectively. "A guest." Lauren's lips thinned into a tight, disapproving line. In your home, unchaperoned, with your history, she whispered harshly. Emma's stomach twisted. Whatever Nathan's history was, Lauren clearly thought it was something terrible. Nathan's jaw tightened. Leave Lauren, he said, each word clipped like a blade. But Lauren didn't leave without a final parting shot. Be careful, little brother, she warned, her voice sweet as venom. You can't save everyone, and not everyone wants to be saved. With a last withering glance at Emma, she turned on her heel and vanished into the night. The door slammed shut. For a long moment, Nathan stood frozen. Then he let out a ragged breath and turned back to Emma. I'm sorry about that, he said hoarsely. Emma rose from the couch slowly. Is it true? She asked before she could stop herself. What she said about your history? Nathan's eyes darkened. He crossed the room in a few strides but kept a careful distance between them. I wasn't always like this, he said. I wasn't always someone worth trusting. He hesitated, searching her face for something, fear perhaps, or condemnation. Emma said nothing, letting the silence stretch. I lost my wife, Nathan said finally, his voice breaking. 5 years ago, car accident. She was 6 months pregnant. The words hung in the air like a storm cloud. Emma's heart squeezed painfully. I couldn't save them. Nathan whispered, no matter how much money I had, no matter how many prayers I said, I lost everything. And suddenly so many things made sense. His loneliness, his distance, his desperate, quiet kindness toward her. Nathan Carter wasn't trying to rescue a stranger. He was trying to redeem himself for a past he could never rewrite. I'm not looking for a replacement, Nathan said fiercely, as if reading her mind. I'm not asking anything of you. I couldn't leave you out there. Emma, not when I know what it feels like to have no one. Tears blurred Emma's vision. Not from pity, but from the aching, unbearable understanding that maybe, just maybe, two broken souls could find shelter in each other. Not as saviors, but as survivors. If you were Emma, would you trust Nathan after hearing his story, or would you still be cautious? Do you believe two broken hearts can heal together? Tell us your thoughts in the comments. If this chapter touched you, comment 100 down below. And as always, let us know which country are you watching from. Share this story with someone who believes in second chances. A week later, the air inside Nathan Carter's penthouse felt heavier. Emma Brooks had found a rhythm again. Morning walks, reading even little projects Nathan insisted she supervise so she wouldn't get bored. But she couldn't shake the feeling that a storm was brewing, not outside this time, but inside her heart. And then it happened. One rainy afternoon, a knock at the door shattered the fragile peace. Nathan, typing away in his study, froze when he heard it. Emma, curled up on the couch, felt her chest tighten with unease. When Nathan opened the door, there he was, Jason Miller, the man who had once promised her forever. The man who had left when she needed him most. Jason looked rougher now, thinner eyes, bloodshot, hair messy, but his gaze softened when it landed on Emma, and he gave a nervous, hopeful smile. Emma, he breathed, thank God I found you. Emma stood slowly, her hands instinctively protecting her swollen belly. Jason stepped forward but stopped when Nathan's towering presence blocked his path. And you are? Nathan's voice was calm, but there was steel beneath it. Jason squared his shoulders. I'm Jason, I'm the father. Silence crashed over the room. Nathan turned slightly, looking at Emma, giving her the choice. Emma inhaled deeply, grounding herself. She nodded. Nathan stepped aside reluctantly, but close enough to protect her if needed. Jason's voice cracked. I know I messed up, he said, his hands trembling. I panicked. I was scared. I'm sorry. Emma felt the weight of months of loneliness pressing down on her. Why now, Jason? She asked quietly. Jason wiped at his face. Ashamed, I've been looking for you. I was stupid to run. I want to make it right. I want to be a father. Emma studied him. The old Emma, the one full of naive hope, might have believed him instantly. But the Emma standing here now, she was different, stronger. What exactly are you offering? Jason, she asked. A home, he said desperately. A family. A long silence filled the room. Nathan stayed back, letting her lead, even though Emma could feel his tension radiating across the space. Finally, Emma spoke. You had your chance, Jason, and you chose fear over love. Jason flinched as if she had slapped him. I'm not the same woman you left. She continued, I'm stronger, and I'm building a life my child can be proud of. Tears filled Jason's eyes. I understand, he whispered. Emma felt a pang of sadness for what could have been, for the love they had lost. But she didn't regret her choice because real family wasn't about sharing DNA. It was about who stayed when everything else fell apart. And in her darkest moments, it wasn't Jason who had been there. It was Nathan. After Jason left, Emma stood silently by the window, watching the rain. Nathan approached carefully. You didn't have to send him away because of me, he said softly. Emma turned to him, her heart aching with emotions too big for words. I didn't send him away because of you. She said, I chose myself, I chose my child. And she hesitated, feeling the tears threaten. And maybe I'm choosing something even bigger. Nathan's eyes widened, unsure. Hopeful, I'm choosing a future, Emma whispered. One built on trust, kindness, and real love. Nathan stepped closer, his voice shaking slightly. Emma, I don't want to be your savior, he said. I just want to stand beside you. Every messy, beautiful step of the way. Emma laughed through her tears. That's all I've ever wanted. Without hesitation, Nathan wrapped his arms around her, gently careful of her belly. It wasn't a grand cinematic kiss. It wasn't fireworks and chaos. It was better. It was real. It was two broken souls finding home in each other. Months later, Emma gave birth to a healthy baby boy, Daniel Carter Brooks. When Nathan held Daniel for the first time, something in him healed a piece of his heart. He thought was lost forever, stitched itself whole again. They weren't a perfect family. There were late nights, messy breakfasts, and unexpected tears. But there was laughter too, and love, and a quiet, unshakable promise that no storm, not even the fiercest, could ever break them again. How did this story make you feel? Did Emma make the right choice in choosing herself and building a new future? If you believe in healing, second chances, and real love, comment 100 below. Tell us from which country are you watching this story, and if this story touched your heart, share this video with someone who believes that even after the darkest storms, there is always a sunrise.